I have met hundreds of people in parking lots to buy their guitars and gear, and not every one of them has been honest. People will say things when you're doing a private deal that aren't necessarily true because they just want to get that money out of your pockets. Number one, they're gonna talk about the condition. Look at it, it's in mint condition. Listen, beauty is in the eye of the gear holder. Usually the person that thinks their guitar is the best, the most perfect, the most wonderful, probably if they really looked at it would know that it's not actually minty condition. Very few guitars. I would bet under 2%. Like, it's very, very rare to get a properly mint guitar. Because mint would mean the pickguard has no scratches, still has the protective cellophane on it. It would mean that there's no marks, no nothing, no modifications. They didn't even put a strap button on that guitar. It's probably not in mint condition. Number two, they're going to talk about how great it works. Everything works, no issues, no problems at all. I bet if you really looked at it, if you played it, especially electric guitars, if you really looked close enough, you could find something. Scratchy pots, a switch that doesn't always make full volume, or tuners that have a little hump or a little bump in them. You could find something that is not 100% correct. Another category that they'll talk about is the authenticity. Especially if you're buying a Gibson guitar, which do not buy a used Gibson unless you really know what you're talking about, because they're going to talk about, look, it's a real Gibson, it says made in the USA. But if you know guitars and if you know the used market, there are a million cheapy counterfeit guitars out there. Unless you're pretty clever, you can get had. I've almost gotten had a couple times just as my spidey sense was going off about something being wrong. There is another video I put up about how to spot a fake Gibson. You should check that out. Number four, they're gonna say it's a limited edition. They only made a couple of them. A friend worked in the custom shop and he did this one on the evenings and weekends, and that's why this D18, it just says D18, but really it's basically a custom shop. People want to believe that their pieces of gear are exceptional, and sometimes they are, but most of the time, they're just pretty normal, pretty reliable, fun things. So take it for what it is, look at it for what it actually represents itself to be. Don't get hung up on somebody else's words, especially if there's no paperwork to back up any of that story. It probably is special, but it's probably not as specifically ridiculously unique as they're saying. They'll say things like, it's worth way more than I'm asking. And what they're probably looking for is what people are listing those guitars for, and they're assuming and hoping that you're not going to do your research, you're not going to figure out what that thing is actually worth. An easy way to check this out is to check out Reverb, their price guide, look at eBay's completed listings, look at the Vintage Guitar Price Guide, their annual books that come out that give you the range of the value on those guitars. Find actual transactions. Don't just look at list price, because anyone can ask anything for any piece of gear. The only ones that really matter to you are the ones that have actually transacted, have actually sold. Someone's actually put out their own money at that price. Number six, they're gonna crank up the pressure on you, and they're gonna say things like, you'll never find another deal like this again, ever, and you better do it right now. I got 4 people calling. Listen. You don't need any piece of gear to complete your musical journey. There are cool deals, but do not feel pressure by people to buy things on the spot. If you need to take time, take time. The next thing that they'll tell you that may or may not be true is why they are selling this guitar, the reason that they are selling it. There's probably something that started the series of events that made them fall out of love with that guitar, because they bought it at some point. Why aren't they playing it? Number 8, they're going to say something about they have to sell this guitar because of some tragic series of events that have just unfolded for them. Sometimes people play up their need to sell these guitars. They sell up the relational parts of their life to get an emotional response out of you that would inhibit your ability to actually think through what is market value, what is reasonable, what is appropriate for this guitar. Do I need to buy this right now? They're just trying to add both pay more, pay faster, pay right now, don't think about it, just use your emotions. Don't fall for any of that. Number 9, they're gonna talk about how this is the best playing guitar they have ever experienced in their life, and every guitar player around them has said that this is special and great and wonderful, and it's the best sounding guitar, and this special guy set it up. Check the fretwork, check the truss rod, make sure that this guitar really does play that well, because anything you miss now can and will come back to bite you later and will be expensive when it's in the hands of a good repair person. Number 10, they're going to talk about how this guitar was played by Johnny Winter's brother was in town and he played this guitar and it was the best and people just lost their minds and it was so cool. I didn't get any pictures of it, and I used to have a piece of paper that Johnny Winter's brother told me that, and he wrote down on a piece of paper that he played it. Beware of fake provenance, because if it was played by a celebrity, if it's signed by a celebrity, if it has all those things, it quickly leaves just the world that we care about of guitars, cool deals, and those kind of things, and it moves into celebrity, it turns into memorabilia. These stories are almost never actually verifiable, and they are just really used to up the cool factor of the guitar, again, to motivate you to buy it more quickly without thinking it through that much. Modifications to the guitar. Number 11, they're going to talk about how, well, there are some upgrades, but they definitely make this guitar way better and more valuable. No one should pay more for pickups and electronics in a guitar. That's a spicy hot take. I don't think that Seymour Duncans have added a single dollar in value to any parts caster or any Epiphone Les Paul. Those things will increase the speed with which the guitar will sell, but they don't necessarily turn into dollar for dollar replacements. Most of these things, extra pickups, stuff like that, they just make the guitar sell faster. Number 13, they're going to say things like, it's never been repaired, which, if it's a guitar, most of them are going to need some repairs along the way. Some repairs would actually hurt the value, but when you talk about this, look at cracks and other fixes. There's some cracks that hurt the value, and then there's some things that seem to be better. Like if anyone says there's any finish work, they oversprayed, they reshot the back, they touched up some color on the guitar, almost always, all of those things cut the value in about half. If somebody refinishes an acoustic guitar, the Lord be with you, it's worth so much less money than it once was. 50% is a pretty good expectation. Urgency is the biggest threat to your guitar collection and the quality of deals that you're going to do along the way. So beware of test drive limitations. Number 15, you can't plug it in right now, but just trust me, it sounds great. It's the best sounding Strat I've ever heard. If you are going to check out an electric guitar, you need to bring a little amp. A great tool is those any little battery powered, the Fender, the Mustang Micros that you can bring with you in headphones. They work great. They help you make sure that a guitar works. It'll save you a lot of headache and a lot of frustration. Beware of anyone that limits your ability to experience the guitar in that moment. Older is not always better. Sometimes newer is better. It depends on when those guitars were made. Just because it's old does not make it worthwhile or expensive. Here's how I avoid getting duped. Number 1, I research the model and the guitar and the brand beforehand. I make sure I really know what I'm looking at. Number 2, I make sure that I can test the guitar thoroughly, that it plays really good, that it is set up well, that it has all the parts and pieces that it needs. There's no wool being pulled over my eyes. Another thing I do is I check the serial numbers of the guitars. I also check how those serial numbers are put on the guitar. Are they on a sticker when they're supposed to be stamped in the inside of the neck block? Are they pressed into the back of the headstock, but it's not the right font, or it's a laser etch rather than a press? Lots of things can be told to you about this guitar just by the serial number itself. The last thing you can do is you can bring a knowledgeable friend with you that knows more about those guitars and can help you steer clear of those things. I would like to be that friend for a lot of you. I offer coaching and help and advice on my website. So if you have any questions, comments, slanderous remarks, let me know. If you have any guitars you want me to check out the link in the description down below. I'm Jeremy. I'm the Guitar Hunter. See you later.